Welcome to the fish tank.
Hey everybody, Fishman here, and welcome to another video. Sorry about the background noise, but about 2 weeks ago it was snowing here. Last week it was, comfortable, nice. And all of a sudden it's decided to be hot, humid, and sticky. I haven't gotten used to it yet. So if I don't have a fan blowing at the moment, I'd probably melt into a puddle. So that is that little bit of hum you hear in the background. Now this week's video is my new take on the leak-proof canister filter. Now obviously it's not leak-proof anymore because there are seams here, whereas in the old version with the 4-inch PVC piping, the chances of leaking, well, I've never had one leak, let's just put it that way. So what I've done instead is I'm making a trough. This is going to be 2 feet long. It's going to have all the features, all the required features of the leak-proof canister filter as far as what it needs to filter an aquarium. So it's going to do the exact same thing. It's just going to have access through the top. I will put lids on this. There's probably going to be like 3 or 4, like the new ones I'm doing, which are going to be acrylic, but are going to be able to remove sections and that sort of stuff, just to cut down on the curve. So it's going to have access, which means I'm going to be able to put something different in this. This leak-proof canister filter is going to have the plants in it. I'm going to grow plants in the top part of this. So in the end, what it really is going to be is it's going to be a deep bed filtration system. I mean, a lot of people, there's a lot of videos lately are talking about the old school where you just have like 4 or 5 inches of sand in the bottom of your tank and you just leave it alone. And it has merit. It is an old way of doing things and it works really well. This is going to do the same sort of thing, and that is actually what the leak-proof canister filter kind of sets up. So one other advantage that doing it this way has, as you're seeing right now, I'm going to load the filter up. The reason why there's a bit of water in here is, first off, it gets rid of any kind of gas that's going to be in the sand as I put it in. And also, I had to test it, of course. Before I fill these things up, I pressure tested to make sure I didn't screw up on a joint or anything. And it's good to go, so that's all fine. Now, what I'm doing here also is, if I were doing this in a PVC pipe, I would have to very laboriously add the different layers. And usually what I did is I would only add 2 types, a fine and a coarse, and then by shaking it, I would get, obviously, the fine layer would end up on the bottom. But in this particular case, I can add multiple layers. I'm only going to add 3 because I don't want to get too far away from the original concept, but I want to do more than just 2. So I am going to add, the bottom layer was fine crushed coral. I had a bit of it left over. And then the middle layer that you saw there is going to be some old coral gravel I had in a sump. And then I'm just going to add regular old pebbled stones for the top layer. Now I'm also going to add, it's not going to be a layer with a filter really, but it will add to filtration. I'm going to also add in some lava rock on the top. Probably more for a bit of decoration, but also for places where I could anchor some Java fern and other stuff as this matures, which is something that the reason why I'm doing this really. Leak-proof canister filters are all kind of cool, and I could tell you all the pros and cons, the fact that I've used them forever and they work fine and all that sort of stuff. But with this, you're going to actually be able to see how the layers mature. I am probably going to end up adding some form of light guard around the outside to prevent algae growing from the part I want to record, just so that you don't end up with that. When you have an aquarium with a deep bed and there's light on the outside, the first little bit gets algae growing on it, so you can't really see anything. I'm going to put a light guard there to prevent that from happening, so that in time when I pull it off and we can examine this, we'll be able to see how the different layers set up, and that's kind of important. I want to be able to have this as a visual as time goes on as well. Now, the other thing I want to do with this filter, it is going on the ugliest fish tank I have currently. and that is the breeding pair of OB convicts I have. They're doing wonderful, and the tank's fine. But convicts being convicts, they pretty much kill any Gramaris or scud I put in there, or shrimp. I mean, they're just food to them. They also take care of any plecos that I put in there, snails. No cleaning crew survives in that tank. So I need somewhere where all that stuff can survive, and that's going to be up in here. So this is going to have all those things in it. Well, not the Plecostomus, but it's going to have the shrimp and the scuds and a bunch of other microorganisms. And it's just, I don't know if it's going to really affect the tank that much, but I think the filter will. And I want to see if this filter will, in the long run, improve the look of this tank, which I'm going to show you here in a little bit. So this is how it's going to be run. It's going to pump up into one side, and then you saw it'll come out the other side in that pipe on the bottom. I'll show you the back end as well as in a few seconds. And it's going to pour back into the tank. So here's the pair, and this is what their aquarium looks like. I treat it exactly the same as all my other tanks. I've shown you this before, and it is the only one that looks like this because they won't allow any cleaning crew in there while they breed. And if anyone's kept convicts before, they are never not breeding. They'll breed every 3-4 weeks like clockwork. And like I said, all these other tanks are fine. Some of them have more biomass in them than this tank because it's only 2 fish, and you can see what it looks like. So I'm hoping that this filter here is going to have a big impact on that. So we're going to turn it on, get it flowing, and there you go. I haven't made the switch yet, but I had my wife come down and plug it in for me so I could record this as it went on. I will get around to that at some point in time. So it's going to have lots of flow. And I'm thinking of putting in some Vallisneria and other plants along those lines, so maybe we'll get a little bit of a river flow as well. And also, as time progresses, I do still want to build that river tank. It's going to obviously have a lot more flow than this, but this is going to kind of get my appetite whetted for that again. And as you can see here, I am going to have to cut the lid for this. This is going to stay on here probably permanently. We'll see how that goes. There may be some changes I want to make to it. As always, there's 2 fittings I don't glue, and that is the downpipe and their initial up. The rest of it's all obviously glued in place or it'll leak, but those 2 aren't. So just in case I need to change anything. So it's running now. You can see there's a lot of flow going through this, but the flow goes mostly just through, but there's enough of a turbulence there where you're going to get flow down into the bed, and that's how these leak-proof canister filters and that style work. And you can see how the water, the piping goes along the back here. It just goes out, comes down at an angle, runs across the back. Sorry for the glare there, but this is the back end of my the fish room, and there's no real lighting back here, so you just get all that glare. But I wanted to show you this end of it as well. So that's pretty much how it's going to work. This is a couple hours later. It's all cleaned up now, and I'm going to do a bunch of updates on this because I got to make the lids for it, and I need to plant this, and I want to get it running, and also, of course, I need to put lights over it. And then, as well, put the light guard on the front end here so I don't get algae growing on that the front wall of that bed, where the bed is there. So it's all set up. It's going to be running, and this is also going to become... this is going to be the last filter that's going to go into the DIY filter comparison. You can see I made a quick cut on the lid here just so that I don't have all the splashing, and it's pretty much all set to go. So there you go. If you like this style of video, please like and or subscribe, and definitely let me know below what you think of this style of filtration. It kind of incorporates a lot of different things, and that's kind of something I want to do with all the different styles of filters I build. There's no real hard, carved in stone way that a filter should be made. All these sorts of things will work. They all have different properties, and it's the kind of thing that I'm kind of hoping to instill if you decide you want to build your own filters. There are so many ways to make things, and they all have merits. So keep that in mind if you decide you want to do something like this. This is going to be an interesting filter as time goes on. Like I said, it's going to be planted and it's going to be interesting to look at. So anyway, as always, thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think below, and I will see you in the next video, and bye for now.